This lesson is called Fast Track to Barre, and what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be talking about, what is a bar chord, and then I'm going to introduce you to our Barre Isometric method that gets you to bar very, very quickly. So just a quick overview. A bar chord is basically a chord where we take the first finger and we use it as a temporary nut here. We're just barring over across the fret here, and we use a shape. For example, if I bar right here, I've got an F sharp. If I go here, I've got a G, and so on. And the nice thing about a bar is that I can use my three fingers here as movable shapes, and once I know one of those shapes, I can move up the fretboard. As long as I know the music alphabet, it makes it very, very simple for me. So for example, if I use these three fingers here to form an E shape and I bar across here, I get F. Knowing the alphabet, I move up to F sharp, I go to G, I go to G sharp, I go to A, and so on, all the way up the fretboard. So that's the nice thing about bar. I only have to learn one shape, and I can then play all over that fretboard. To be really successful with guitar, you need to know bar, and the earlier you learn bar, the better. There's a gigantic chasm, a big gap between those who know bar and those who don't. And if you're stuck just doing open chords, which are beautiful, rich chords, that's great. If you're stuck there, you really are limiting yourself in what you can play, both in terms of songs and keys and the sound and the flexibility. So our approach here is that you begin to learn bar right away, and we'll talk about that method, how we start you right away and move you on a daily basis during your practice routine, building up the strength that you need for bar. So why bar? As we said, one shape equals dozens of shapes. So we're going to show you in later parts of the course the A system, where you'll learn these very simple shapes, and that'll help you expand. And as part of the Barre Isometrics, which we're going to be talking about, you'll also see those basic shapes as you're building up your strength. The other thing is it's a real fast track to the big three. And I think this is probably the number one reason why you want to learn bar. By learning bar, you learn the major chords, those beautiful major chords. You'll learn the minor chords. You learn the dominant seventh chords. And you're going to be learning, by just learning bar, you'll be able to learn that major, minor, dominant, seventh chords for all 12 keys, giving you this real rich knowledge. And what we have here is a top 36 chord guide that you'll be able to then refer to, and you'll see over 100 different chords just by learning a few basic shapes. And just a preview of coming attractions, what you're going to be able to do once you have the ability to play bars, you'll learn our ACE system. And ACE is based on the A shape, the C shape, and the E shape. And in the open position, this is an A here, but later on you're going to learn how to do it with bar. C shape, here it is in an open position, but you'll learn how to do that with a bar as well. And of course, E shape is the other one. And so by learning these basic foundational shapes, you're going to open yourself up to all different types of chords. One of the things you'll learn early on is how to play the E shape, which is basically these three fingers here. And once you learn the E shape, you're then able to open up, for example, to the E7 shape just by taking my pinky off here. I turn that into an E7 shape. If I have the E shape here and I want to play E minor, all I need to do is take off the second finger here, and that becomes an E minor shape, and then I can move that around the fretboard, move it up the fretboard, and by doing so, using that simple one shape, I'm able to change to a different chord. The E shape here allows me to easily shift over to the A minor shape, which is down here. And now, just by learning that basic shape with that little cluster of fingers here in the bar, I can move to the minor. Now I've got all the minor chords. I've got my A minor, my A sharp, B, C, C sharp, and D, and so on. And it also gets you to something called the C shape. And the way that works is if I'm at the E shape, I can move down to the A minor shape just by moving down, just by taking that pinky and moving it up here like that. that becomes a C shape. So just wanted to show you that just by learning one shape, for example, you open yourself up to just a huge number of different chords on the fretboard. And you're going to learn this as part of the ACE shapes, these 9 movable shapes, and there's a bunch of them, and we'll be talking about those as we go through the course. One of the big reasons for learning bar is that you're going to be able to learn in any key, and you won't have what's known as cowboy chord limits. And cowboy chords are these open chords, and they're great chords. And we've got a couple of charts there where you'll learn the top 12 major and minor chords, like the A major, the A minor, the C major, the D major, and so on. And we've got them for the major, the minor chords, and we also have them for the dominant 7s. And they're great, rich, beautiful chords. But if you just learn those, you really limit yourself when you're working within different keys. For example, let's take the key of G here. And if you look at G major is pretty easy. That's an open chord. Moving to the right, you got A minor. It's pretty good. But when you look down here, you see in our easy key chart, that's a B minor. We're taking a little bit of a shortcut there. We're playing it with these fingers here, and we're not playing the chords up on top. Later, what you're going to be able to do is by barring, you're going to play that B minor there. But let's take another example. Here's the C major key. And again, most of these in the easy key chart, you see there the open version. You got C major, you got D minor, E minor. But what happens when you get to F major? F major becomes a stumbling block. Now we've simplified it by just having this cluster of fingers here, and we're not playing the first string or the top string here, just playing those middle strings. Now you can get by with that, and you could play in the key of C with just those open chords and using our easy key chart. But it's going to be a whole lot better when you can bar that and you get the richness of that F major. It really becomes noticeable when you get to a key like F major. A lot of songs that were written for piano are written in F major, and if you want to play those with a guitar, you can use the easy key chart like we have here. But there's real limitations to it. Look at it. You've got you can play the F major here, but it's going to be a whole lot better when you can play this F major as a bar. And then look over to the right there, you've got G minor. Now we've taken a shortcut there with G minor. You see it's basically, we've moved it all the way down to the 6th fret to play that with basically a D minor shape. Well, once you learn bar, you're going to be able to play that up here, rather than just a few strings down on the 6th fret. So by learning the bar, you open up the ability to play, the way that chord really needs to be played. If you move over 4 chords to the right there, what you see there is the B flat major chord. And there's the simplified version of it where we're just using an A shape with the finger up here. But there's a lot of other better places to play B flat. Down here is a whole lot better sounding. So that's the advantage of learning the bar. You're going to be able to open yourself up to play in all kinds of keys. Another great reason for learning bar has to do with fretboard patterns. And we provide this in a future lesson in the ACE system where what you're learning is that just by learning a few shapes and knowing where to start, you are able to play all kinds of, you change keys to different songs, play different patterns. If I know that I can just start on a particular place here and play my first chord, my 5th chord, my 4th chord, my minor 6th, I could play a song that's here, or I can simply move it up. That happens to be in the key of D. If I can just move it up here and play it here. So just by knowing that there's these movable patterns and shapes opens up the ability to, on the fly, quickly change keys. But you need to know bar in order to do that. Let me talk a little bit about the wall. Because what happens with most guitarists when they get started with guitar, they get very, very quickly, they learn the strumming patterns and they learn open chords. But then they go to play bar and they hit the wall, and I think it's a big problem, and there's a way to get around. Let me just talk a little bit how you scale that wall. The first thing is one of the reasons people hit the wall is the hand strength that's required, particularly between the thumb and the finger. So you learn the open chords fairly straightforward. You move along pretty quickly. The minute you get to bar, you've got this challenge of building up the strength between the finger and the thumb. So that becomes a challenge. And the other one has to do with you're now playing with the pinky. You know, with most of the open chords, you can play them with the first, second, and third finger. But with bar, you need to use that pinky, and primarily you're using these three fingers down here. The other problem you see with the wall is the knowledge. And we cover this in the lesson on playing bar. What happens is sometimes you're playing with that finger a little bit flat, and you just have to get used to the angle that finger has to be in order to play the bar. And the other thing is, just a little technique that's going to be important is the concept of leverage, where I'm pulling very gently here, and at the same time I have a countervailing pressure here. And by doing that, just slight pressure, it makes it easy for me to play the bar chord. I'm not putting a death grip on it. So that's the second thing, is the knowledge. The third reason why people have a problem with bar has to do with their actual guitar. I'm playing an acoustic guitar here, and the acoustic guitar, compared to, for example, an electric guitar, is harder to play. Harder to play a bar chord, and the reason has to do with the action. The action is the distance between the string and the fretboard. With an electric guitar, it's going to be simpler. And also, whether it's an electric guitar or an acoustic guitar, sometimes the guitars aren't set up properly. The distance between the sixth string here and or all the strings and the fretboard needs to be less than half an inch. And what happens is sometimes the distance is too much and it's hard to press down. So if you've got that problem with your guitar, you need to go to a professional, go to a guitar store and ask them, take a look at it, see what the action looks like. So that's another reason why people hit the wall. The big one, I think, is that most people don't have a method to get to bar. Learning the bar chord is not a process of 1 week or 10 days, a couple of weeks. It takes, in some cases, 6, 7, 8, 12 weeks in order to build up the strength. And most people give up too soon. They don't realize that it only takes a little bit of work every day using what we have called Barre Isometrics to build up that strength and build up the skill in order to play the bar. So those are the 4 reasons people have difficulty with scaling that wall. So let me tell you the good news. The good news is we've got the program Barre Isometrics. And with Barre Isometrics, you are able to rapidly learn to play bar by doing it incrementally. It's kind of an inch by inch, everything is a cinch process where you're doing just a little bit, about 5 to 7 minutes per day. So here's how it works. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be learning Barre Isometrics throughout the program. You're going to be doing this on a daily basis while you're learning things like the rhythm and your different strums. You're going to be learning how to play open chords. You're going to be learning your different progressions, your 1, 4, 5 and the other progressions that are used within music. You're going to be learning the concept of keys, how to play a particular key like G and D and the other good guitar keys. You're going to be learning how to play melodies and riffs, and you're going to be able to apply that to songs. But all along, you're going to be going through a series of exercises every day using some very simple shapes. You're going to be working with the E minor shape, the E shape, the A shape, and the C shape. And you're going to be doing it with some charts called Barre Isometric charts. And the way Barre Isometrics works is it's pretty simple. What you do is you're going to be starting with a shape, and we've got videos for each one of these. For example, you're going to start with the E minor shape, and you'll play that shape, and you'll just be moving up the fretboard one at a time, very slowly. I'm going a little bit fast here, but you're going to be doing this on a very steady pace, really slow. We're going to recommend that you do it using a metronome and also saying the names of the chords as you go up and saying the names of the chords as you go down. First couple of weeks, it's going to be difficult to play those chords because you got to build up the strength. But as you do this every day, you're going to build up that strength and build up that technique. And the way this works is you're going to start with just the E minor shape, moving up, and then back down. And then you're going to be moving to another, the next chart, which in this case is the E minor, and then it adds we add the E shape, and you'll be moving up. And eventually you're going to get to the point where we've got 5 different charts. You're eventually going to be working through all of the different ones. So you're going to be going from the E minor to the E to the A minor to A major and to the C major. So you're just going to be gradually building up your strength. Now, how long is this going to take? It's going to take, the way we have this set up is that for the first 7 weeks you're going to be learning the different shapes and incrementally adding them. And I've seen people learn this in several weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. They're able to play bar depending on their guitar and their strength. Some will take longer. Some will take 10, 11, 12 weeks to do it. The key thing is that you just stay with it. We're going to introduce level 1 in the first week, then level 2 in the second week, then level 3, then level 4, and then level 5. So it's going to be variable based on your skill. The key is to stay with it. And one of the things that we're going to be doing with this is we use the technique which is basically interval training. And interval training you see a lot in high Olympic athletes and other athletes. And interval training for this basically works this way. We're simply going to be doing this as I go through this. I press, play, and then release. I press, play, and release. I press, play, and release. And what I'm doing is as I'm pressing down, I'm using an isometrics to strengthen my hand. And as you're going through it, if you feel any pain or discomfort, you just stretch out your hands. You're only doing a little bit every day, and by doing this interval training, what you're doing is building up that strength in a very, very regulated type of environment. So when will you add bar to your repertoire? When will you start playing bar? As you're learning the bar isometrics. What you're going to do, what you'll find is with the easy key charts, each one of these charts has the simplified, usually an open chord version of the chart. But what you'll see as you go down through the chart, if you look here, for example, in the key of G, you'll see down at the bottom where it says B minor in the lower right hand corner. Look at that one there. This is the easy version of it right here, where I'm just playing with my open strings. I'm just playing the bottom strings. But look on the second fret there, the number 1s there. What that's telling us is that I can play that as a bar chord. So anytime you see that on your easy chart and you want to go ahead and play the bar and you're ready for it, you go ahead and do it. So you introduce the bar when you're ready to do it. Here's an example with the C major chart. And if you look down at C major, when you get, for example, to the F7, well, that's a simplified version of playing F7. What's the better way to play it? Go to your songwriter chord guides, and if I look at the key of C here, and I look down there in the middle, I can see that the F major is played here, and F7, which is right below it, is very similar. I'm just taking off the pinky for that. So you'll switch to bar when you're ready to switch to bar. And you can also use the top 36 chart that also has all of the bar chords on it for the major, minor, and dominant 7th chords. If you look, for example, here at the A major, you can see the open A, and then you see the different versions of A played by bar. So what you're going to find out is that when you learn bar, you're going to be really launching your ability to play this instrument. And the nice thing is, if you follow the program here, inch by inch, everything is a cinch, doing the bar isometrics on a daily basis. We have another video that goes into more detail with it. Keep at it, do it daily, and you will be very successful with this instrument.